Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of the Cybernetic Horizon set analysis. Now, part 3, we're going to be talking about the underrated cards, the tech cards, and for the newest part in this segment, I'm going to be talking about the stuff that you probably want to know about the draft tournament. What is the meta within itself for the draft tournament? What's the win condition? We're going to talk about all that and the priority picks that I would have for you guys, just in case you guys are playing a draft tournament for a mat, the sneak peek mat. You know, there's always that coming up at the end, so stay tuned for that. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreons for their support. Without their support, I don't know if I would have made it through with all this sweat and blood. Oh my god, all these lights super hot, but I appreciate all of you guys, and I appreciate you guys for staying so loyal and staying tuned to this video. Now, the first bit is a bit of the scatter support. We have a bunch of little supports here and there, a bunch of archetypes getting supports, and then we'll go into underrated cards, and then we'll go into the OCG imports, because OCG imports, it kind of came late, so I kind of put them into their own category. And you know what? Without further ado, let's get into this topic. Alright, to kick things off with Cyberse, there's only a couple things I want to talk about regarding Cyberse, and then I'll quickly move over to the other ones that whatever way I want to cover them. But starting with the Cyberse, we got the new ritual Cyberse. Seems like Konami is now diversifying in terms of the Cyberse type. They're giving them rituals now. Next set, they're getting them fusions, and they're just going to slowly expand apart and just maybe get them pendulums, but maybe get them even further. I think it seems like they're going in the direction of Arc 5, where the boss monsters, there's just a different variety of them, and maybe that's how they're going to get rid of Firewall. That's just my opinion. It's not exactly a confirmed thing, but I've got a whole piece about that because of what Firewall's doing to the meta and how it's actually giving us a lot of opportunity to OTK and FTK, and it's just not exactly a very healthy card in the game. But regardless, let's talk about Cyberse Magician. So one of the two ritual monsters released for Cyberse. What you need to know about this guy is that he has 2500 attack, 2000 defense. And aside from that, he's in a magnet for attacks and targeting if you control a link monster. If you battle a link monster, you gain 1000 attack. If this guy is destroyed by card effect while you have it in your possession, then you get to search a Cyberse monster from the deck to the hand. That's it. That's all this guy is. So very anime-esque. Seems like it's like one of those clutch anime moments where your opponent, I finally destroyed your Cyberse Magician. Well, too bad. Now I get to dig out all these powerful cards. Anyways, aside from that, we have the Paladin of the Storm Dragon. Okay, this guy, like all the other Paladin guys, you have an attack-based effect, and then you also have a tribute summon effect. Attack is to bounce a card, so whatever you attack, you bounce it back to the hand. So simple enough. Tribute, you get to summon out a level 5 or higher Cyberse. And because it's level 4, it's pretty easy to summon out. And both of these monsters use the same ritual spell card, and this is the one ritual spell to rule them all, Cynet Ritual. So it has the generic clause of using levels equal or exceeding the ritual monster that you need to summon. Okay, that's easy enough. What else is there to note about this? I guess in the graveyard, except for the turn that was sent to the graveyard, you can actually banish this card. Sadly, you have to banish this card and a ritual monster to summon out 2 tokens. I read it incorrectly the first time, so I have to like re-record it, but before I thought you could go like Foolish Burial and take Foolish Burial goods and take care of business by giving yourself 2 tokens with 1 Foolish Burial goods. But that was a misconception. You need to play the rituals to get that far. And now let's go into some of the main effect monsters, and then we'll go into some of the extra deck link monsters. So Sim Templier, you can just jump this onto a zone that link monster points to, and of course you have to reveal this card and target a Cyberse monster in the graveyard, and then you can add the Cyberse monster back to your hand and just special summon it. Just a ton of things to do with this card. I might have reversed the effect, but not too much of an impact for me. And then there's this Cluster Congester. He's a token generator, and depending on where he is, I think if you summon this card without controlling a link monster, you can summon out a Congester token. But honestly, that's very underwhelming because he's a level 7, so if you normal summon this guy, you're not exactly going into the best position. And on the other hand, in the battle step, when your opponent attacks one of your link monsters, you have a quick effect, you banish this card and that link monster, just spam the field full of tokens, equal to the amount of link monster your opponent controls. If your opponent's under an extra link, you can perhaps chump block. I think that's about it. I don't really like this card in my opinion. It doesn't exactly serve too much of an impact. Then we have some of the link monsters. Let's talk about the 2 that you guys don't really care too much about. We have Restoration Point Guard. This guy is useful as material because if you use this guy and link it off, and then the monster that you use this card as material, is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon out this card back into the field. So yeah, you get to restore him. Haha. And then for Link Devotee, this guy's just a token generator. If this card's co-link, you can tribute this guy, and you can special summon out 2 Link tokens. And finally, the card that people actually care about, which is Cyberse Witch. If you're going to be playing some of these ritual cards, this is the card that you want, because if a monster special summon to a zone, this card points to. So I guess you can kind of use this with the Sim-Tablier. You can banish a spell from your graveyard and add a Cyberse Ritual monster and a Cynet Ritual. So immediately you get the +2. And on top of that, during your main phase, if this card's effect was activated and was not negated, you can target a level 4 or lower Cyberse monster in the graveyard and special summon it. So immediately giving you some of the fodder available to basically just make your Link plays, make your summon play. Now, that being said, Cynet Ritual, if you manage to banish this with a Ritual, summon out 2 Cyberse tokens, then you can go straight into a Cynet Witch. And from the Cynet Witch, if you have a Sim-Tablier and you have Sim-Tablier, you can just start comboing and making plays. So that's what I think about the Cyberse guys. But honestly, not exactly the most overwhelming stuff. Sim-Tablier may have more effects later on in terms of impact. It is a level 4 monster after all. So if we start seeing Xyz-based Cyberse monsters, then we might have a better chance of seeing more of these cards in play. So about Gokis, to summarize what they're about, they are the Link support for Goki Links. So much like the Flames of Destruction Trickstar cards that are supportive of their links, I guess this is the Goki version of that. So these monsters mainly support the Goki Link monsters. So if you're playing Gokis right now, you might not feel any gains of these cards. But if you're playing pure Gokis and you are using Goki in the extra deck, you're a purist, you're a Go Onizuka hardcore diehard fan, these cards are for you guys and this segment's for you. So what cards do you guys need to pay attention to? Best card out there is going to be Goki Trainer, because you are going to be able to special summon out a Goki Link monster from the graveyard. Of course, that guy can attack, and it does have a drawback of losing 500 attack. However, that drawback is immediately mitigated thanks to Goki Giant Ogre, which I'll talk to you guys about in a bit. Especially if you manage to get into a Goki Giant Ogre, you're going to really like this card. So you can special summon out a Goki Link monster with this, and you can only use this card once per turn. And this card cannot be destroyed by battle while you control a Goki Link monster. So you have yourself a nice wall, okay? So even though he has 0/0 in terms of stats, you can also use him for Link material as well if you have a Goki Link 3. So yeah, that's pretty neat. I like this guy. This guy is just pretty decent if you're playing Goki Links, not Goki Nightmare. Then we have ourselves Double Team. He's kind of underwhelming in my opinion, being a level 5 with only 1700 attack. Doesn't exactly have a special summon effect either. So yeah, not that great. But if you do use this guy for a Link material, for a Goki Link monster, it gains 1000 attack till the end of the turn. Really anime-esque, like one of those weak sauce opening in the anime plays, like, yeah, summon out this dude. Yeah, and then now I'm gonna link him off, and now I'm gonna punch you once with it, and then he's gonna weaken down because, you know, the plot needs to move forward. Yeah, he's one of those cards. But what I do like about this card is the graveyard effect, where you can banish this card from the graveyard, except the turn that's sent there, and you can add a Goki spell back to your hand. That part I actually like a lot, because you can add back that really busted card. Was it Rematch? Yeah, you get to add a Rematch back. So that's amazing. Then we have Moonsault. This is another high level Goki monster. I don't know why they're also high level. Let's just say he's kind of an awkward one, but like reading his effect, you'd be like, oh wow, you can reveal this Goki card in your hand. Wow, that's pretty good. And then target a Goki monster you control. Special summon this card. Wow, and if you do, return the other monster back to your hand. Okay, why did the other part have to exist? But okay, since the other part exists, this guy just summons itself out. It's a 19 beat stick. Yeah, I think that part's kind of underwhelming. It's not like Headbat. I thought this guy was gonna be like the rabbit Headbat. Man, check out his head. It's hilarious. But you can target a Goki Link monster in your graveyard, return that from the graveyard to the extra deck, and from there, you can also then add a Goki monster from the graveyard to your hand. So you get to replenish another card. So these guys are all about the links. In terms of this first Link monster, Goki Heal Ogre. Heal Ogre is 2 Goki monsters. I like the effect of this guy, don't get me wrong. He's like a pretty good one to kind of control your opponent, where if this guy points to a monster, Whenever it activates their effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do destroy that card, then you can special summon out a Goki monster from your graveyard. So overall, these are more of like a mid-game, late-game kind of card where you can continue to combo off or stun your opponent from activating their effects. Yeah, kind of neat, I guess. And then the main card here is the Goki, the Giant Ogre. This guy has arrows like Borolo Dragon, has effects that are very, very good. I realize that he has an effect that's not once per turn, but if you're playing a targeting based deck, well, this guy is going to be your nightmare because you can negate those cards by losing 500 attack. Yeah, and it's not once per turn. Luckily, it doesn't destroy the card. So reading the card text, it states, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. That's good. It's unaffected by the activated effects from an opponent's monster whose attack is equal or lower than this card. So you can't use Borolo Dragon on this card because Borolo has the exact same attack. So therefore you can't, this card's not affected, so you can't weaken him. And when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card or a monster this card points to, this is a quick effect, you can make this card lose exactly 500 attack, and then if you do, negate the activation, and that's it. It's hard. It's not hard once per turn, so yeah, you get to keep doing it. But once per turn, if this card's current attack is different from the original attack, you can have a quick effect to gain back that attack. So you can be like, oh, I'll just bait him out and then Borolo. Well, if you bait him out, he'll get even stronger than your Borolo. And then your Borolo will be dead. So, yeah, there's that. That part is, yeah, just until the end of this turn. So that's something to be aware of. So if you do revive this card with Trainer, you can see that he immediately becomes 35. So, yeah, there's that. And that's a quick effect too, so it can be activated in the damage step, and that's going to be very annoying. So yeah, that's my impression for Gokis. And as for the Rokket monsters, you guys get some graveyard support with Mini Borolo Dragon, Borolo Regenerator, and Link Turret. So what is this? So Mini Borolo Dragon is not like the Borolo, I guess, Link 4 series where they're just really big boss monsters. This guy requires 2 Rokket monsters to make, so it's specific to Rockets to make more Borolo Dragons because this guy's mainly a combo extender. If you control a Borolo Link monster, and this guy's Mini Borolo, so I guess he counts too. And this card is in your graveyard. You can, well, tribute a Link 3 or lower monster to special summon this card. But it cannot be used as link material for a link summon of a monster with the same link rating as the one that was tributed. So that's your condition. But with arrows left and right, you can open up your zones to get bigger plays, maybe pendulum plays. I don't know how you're going to be playing the Rokket deck because I am not very familiar with them. But I know they have a lot of destruction-based effect. And speaking of destruction-based effect, if you get Borolo Regenerator, this is called the Haunted. Oh, sorry, not called the Haunted. Premature Burial. It is an equip card. And you can target one of your Rokket monsters and then special summon, equip this card to it. And when this card leaves the field, you can banish that monster. So you don't get to proc their effects. But if this card is sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster was destroyed, you can draw 1 card. So overall, it's not too bad as a generic card. I don't really have too much to say about it, but I think you can really push forward and make better plays and extend your combos probably with this thing. Again, it's more of a late game card, and Link Turret is just like a really awkward version of Call the Haunted. It's like a Call the Haunted that can activate multiple times, almost. So if this card is activated, you can place 4 counters on it. Each time you take battle damage, you put more counters on this during main phase 2. I like how it's main phase 2. Remove one of these counters from this card, and you can target a Rokket monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It has its effect negated, and you banish it when it leaves the field. But I'm looking for the clause of once per turn. Again, that is something that I don't see. So you're gonna be committing your Rokket resources if you want to go into some big ass links with this card. So that's a possibility here. The effect's negated, and it does get banished when it leaves the field, so that's a limitation. But if you have ways to go into what is it? If you can go into Xyz, maybe you can actually benefit off of this card effect. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. You guys might know better. But that's for Rockets, I suppose. As for Dragunity support, we get a new dragon, we get a new winged beast, we get a new trap, we get 2 synchro monsters, one of them being a synchro tuner. I read it that he was a synchro tuner, and I got a little bit upset with it. But regardless, let's talk about these guys. Starting with the new Spearhead Dragon, count as a level 2 or 4 if you synchro with it. You can only synchro with it into a Dragunity monster. And while while this card is equipped to a monster, you can just summon it out. Very much like a Phalanx. And then we have Senatus. Senatus, to me, he is like a better opening play, especially if you don't have, say, Dragon's Ravine. You can discard a Dragunity card, and then you can equip a Dragunity tuner strip from the deck. So it zeroes out right from the get-go, and you can get Kus out. You can synchro into, say, a level 8 right away if you really want to, or you can go to a 6. You have a Vajrayana that you can try out, and if you go to Vajrayana, you can get the Kus. Kus can just keep doing its thing. Overall, you can go into the new guys like Ascalon or Lewin. So what about this card? I think it's pretty damn good. You get to protect your cards as well. If Dragunity cards you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to destroy one Dragunity card equipped to this card instead. And that could probably proc off like Ackles or whatever, that the other little red spear dragon that pops cards. And for the trap, it's a pretty neat trap. I think it's a little slow because it can get popped quite easily and doesn't exactly have any repercussion when it's destroyed. But you can only activate one of these effects once per turn. It's a hard once per turn effect too, and you lock yourself into summoning Dragunities. But who cares? Usually these restrictions are just limiting you to just play with the card pool that's a bit more limited. And the two effects are that you can use one or the other. Is target a Dragunity monster card in your spawn trap zone, special summon in defense position, okay? And the second effect is that you can target a Dragunity monster you control and equip it with a Dragunity monster from your graveyard to that target. It seems like you can equip like birds as well, because it doesn't seem like it has any form of restriction at this point. Now, as for the synchro guys, we have Lewin. Oh, these guys are Harloon, or I'm gonna call this guy Lewin, and it requires a Dragunity tuner and 1+ Dragunity non-tuner. If this card special summon, you can target a Dragunity monster in your graveyard, equip it to this card. Okay, equip that monster to this card. So what's so special about it? Well, this monster is a synchro tuner, so to me it feels a little bit on the limiting side, because most of the guys that can special summon themselves out, they are also tuners, and therefore you can't really push forward with this. However, if you do have like a bird or something, then you can actually synchro upwards, because this guy doesn't exactly have any attack stats. However, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Dragunity monster you control, equip this to that target against 1,000 attack and defense. So I guess that's kind of cool, but this guy's pretty weak. It's 1,200 attack and 1,900 defense. But what I really care about is this new boss monster, which is very simple to summon, a Dragunity tuner and a 1+ Dragunity non-tuner. So that's pretty simple. You can just use a Vajrayana plus like Kus, and you can probably get here. It's a level 10 monster. For the banishing effect, it's not once per turn. Just banish a Dragunity monster from your graveyard, target one monster opponent controls, and banish it. So you got a pretty slow but generic removal of monsters. Fair enough. If this synchro summon card in its owner's control is destroyed by opponent's card by battle or card effect, you can summon out a Dragunity synchro monster with 3,000 attack or less from the extra deck, and it counts as a synchro summon. So even if you get rid of this guy, there is a bit of a repercussion that you'll have to eat another big beater coming up from it. So I guess there's that. So even if it dies, I guess you can continue to combo off and extend, or perhaps chump block more. So that's my impression with the Dragunity guys. Alright, so for other support, we have Metaphys. Metaphys gets 2 cards, a trap and a monster. The monster is a pendulum monster, where it's Metaphys Decoy Dragon. Now, unlike the decoy we know from like way back when, that decoy needed to be targeted for attack. This time, any of your monsters can be targeted for attack while this card is face up on the field, whether it be on the pendulum zone or whether it be on the monster zone. If something's targeted for attack, you can banish this card, and then you can summon out a Metaphys monster from the graveyard or from the banish pile straight onto the field. So you get that line of defense, and it has to be in attack position. That being said, that's both effects for the pendulum and the monster effect. And if this card is banished during the next standby phase, well, you get to special summon this card that's banished. So I guess it kind of recurs itself over and over again. That being said, let's move on to the trap. I wish this wasn't a trap, because it would have been much better. It would have been like the Rhoda for Metaphys, but I guess Rhodaing a Metaphys deck is just a bit too much. But you can discard one Metaphys card, and then you can draw one card, and then banish one Metaphys monster from the deck. So you can technically plus off of this card, because Metaphys, they get triggers. So if you banish a Metaphys Nethys, you get to add a Metaphys card, I believe, and that's really nice. And then you also have a second effect where if this card is banished, you can add a Metaphys card from the deck to your hand. So lots of searching. This is like the Rhoda for the deck, except that it's a trap. That's what I don't like about it. And Metaphys Ascension, you can only use one effect per turn and only once that turn. So it's the hardest form of once per turn. As for the Mythical Beast, you get Beast Magic Attack and Mythical Institution. This particular quick play spell lets you manipulate the board with your pendulum monsters, whether it be your Mythical Beast or just any pendulum monster. Depending on the number of counters you remove, you get to special summon or bounce cards back. And then for Institution, this is kind of like a search card. It is a search card and it can also protect itself. It's like Endymion almost. If you have Endymion plus this card, maybe you can make more plays out of it. But each time a Mythical Beast pendulum monster or card you control is destroyed by battle card effect, you can place 2 spell counters on this card. And once per turn, you can remove any number of spell counters on your field and add 1 monster from your deck, or 1 face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand that you can place spell counters on, whose level is equal to the number of spell counters you remove. That is a mouthful. That's a lot of conditions. If it was just add any monsters, I would have been so happy if it was just to match the level, but unfortunately it has to be a card that you can place a spell counter on. You could put I guess Breaker, the Magical Warrior, or you can even, I guess, get out a Magical Abductor if you really want to go in that route. But probably you're going to go with some of the bigger beat sticks, maybe. I don't know. And if this card would be destroyed by battle card effect, you can just remove a spell counter from this card instead. So, yeah, it's a bit limiting. But when it comes to the Noble Knights, I really like this guy. Starting off with Pelennor, I think all of them are actually pretty good. I don't think they're like weenies. I don't think they're useless. I think they all have their own place in the deck. Starting with Pelennor. Pelennor is a very unique monster. It feels like Insector Dragonfly to some degree. So you can target one of your Noble Arms equip spell equipped to this card, and then you can also target one of your face-up opponent's monster that they control, destroy them, and then draw a card. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn, but who cares? You're getting pluses. And how does this work? Technically, I think at the very end of this, it's a +2, maybe? I think it's about a +2. So you have your monster, you equip it, you target 2 cards, you pop them both. So that's a 1-for-1. But you draw 1 card, therefore you're at a +1. However, since the spell card re-equips itself back onto your monster, I guess now you're back to another plus, so maybe a +2. Am I doing the math right? I don't know. But this card, 1900 beat stick, like most of the offensive based Noble Knights, they are pretty strong. 1900, pretty decent. Now we have our defensive guy, Custonin. Custonin is well, if you control a Noble Arms equip spell, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you get to jump him out, and then if you use this guy's material, he's meant to be fodder for you, meant to be your material, whether it be, I suppose, a Link, or Xyz, or Synchro. It gains the effect where you can actually just get an additional normal summon of a Noble Knight monster. So, and then you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for Noble Knight monsters. So it does set up a little bit of a restriction. But if you're playing Noble Knights, these cards are pretty good. And following with the direct attack thing, seems like everyone and their moms are getting some form of direct attack. We have Noble Arms Clarent, and you can only equip to a warrior, and you can only control 1 Noble Knight Arms Clarent. So, okay, that's cool. But once per turn, you can pay 500 life points. The equipped monster can deal a direct attack this turn. So yeah, another way of chumping your opponent's life points. Seems like everyone's getting one. Hayate's here, they got this guy. I don't know how much further we can go with burning or like doing direct attacks. Now, that being said, you can also target another Noble Knight if this card's destroyed and they just re-equip it. So it's got the basic re-equipping thing. And then we have our Xyz monsters, the Sacred Noble Knight King Custonin. So this is the King Custonin, not exactly a high attacker, but you can make him with more than 1 level 4 Noble Knight, so more than 2. So it's a 2+. So you can detach any number of material on this card and then target that many cards your opponent controls, and you can just bounce them back into the hand. If this guy is destroyed by battle card effect, you immediately Xyz summon using this card, and basically attaches to another Noble Knight Xyz monster. So you can go into your the King Arthur's or whatever. So overall, these guys have high utility. I like this spell card. It's very cheesy. I know it's cheesy, but I appreciate that everyone gets a piece of the direct attack puzzle. So for the underrated cards and some of the remaining cards, there's actually another page after this, which are the OCG imports, and I'll talk about that after. And then we'll talk about some of the priority cards that you probably want so you don't get killed by your opponent. But starting off with my favorite card of this entire set, well, not the entire set, but in terms of underrated stuff, we have Mana Dragon. It sounds really cool already. It's Xenotron. This is like the spell trap protector. This is like a hand trap slash grave trap. I don't know what you want to call it. But if a spell trap card, it leaves the field because of your opponent's card effect, whether it's banished or in the graveyard, you get to special summon out this card from the graveyard or from your hand. And then you get to take one of those cards that were destroyed or banished and set it back onto the field. So to me, that is a very impressive effect. Good potential in the near future, if you ask me. And one key thing to note about this card is that it doesn't care whether or not your cards that were destroyed were set or not. It just cares that it was removed by your opponent. So if by chance your opponent decides to pop some of your cards, whether it be popping your bluffs, or say you have a Twin Twister, your opponent's playing Paleo, they go only notes, pop your back row, you chain Twin Twister, you pop two other cards your opponent controls, and then you ditch this card to the graveyard. Okay, so in terms of resolving the chain, your Twin Twister pops two cards, and then his Olenotes pops your Twin Twister. And since when Twin Twister leaves the field, this card, Xenotron, is already in the graveyard. You get to trigger Xenotron, and yeah, you get to special summon out Xenotron, and you get that Twin Twister back. So I think that's how it works. That's like one of the interactions I can think of. But if you have like continuous spells and traps on the field and it gets destroyed, this card can help you recover those cards. So I really like this card a lot. Next up, we have Umbra Mirage, which is the Dark Elemental Lord. This is just Sangan by summoning, and you get to add any of your hand traps, Drone, Lockbird, Ash, or just any monster with 1500 attack or less. And then we have Center Frog. Just make sure that you don't get screwed over by Center Frog, because you can give this card to your opponent, and if there's two of them given to your opponent, guess what? Everything in between will be taken, and usually they'll kill off the Center Frog so that you can't give it back. So yeah, that's the effect of this card. Then there's the new Mill monster. So if you're playing Lightsworn, you can use this level 1 monster to go into Minerva. How do you do that? You gain levels as you mill. You can mill 1 to 3, and you send that many. And one thing to note about this card is that it's going to be one of those cards that you could probably game your opponent in time with this card, because if this card's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can gain 1500 life points. So yeah, there's that. It's a pretty awesome effect. Then there's the Toddler. The Terrifying Toddler of Torment. So this is the flip effect monster with a 2k defense. Mainly used as fodder for getting out Witch's Apprentice. But of course, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon out this card and face down defense position. When you flip this card, you can send one Fiend monster from the deck to the graveyard. So it's got a bit of a milling effect. Then there's Cosmo Brain, which I really don't care about this effect because it requires vanilla-esque monster, non-effect monster. You can special summon this card by sending a non-effect monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard. Okay, this card gains attack equal to the sent monster times 200. Are there enough vanilla monsters in this set to kind of get there? I don't think so. I don't know how you can actually summon out this card, but that's all I got. You can actually tribute an effect monster and then special summon a normal monster from your hand or deck. So maybe you can actually use this card to spam out Blue Eyes White Dragons. Then we have Psychic Ace. If you tribute this card is going to be quite important if you have tributing based effects, or you want to do tribute summons. You can target a card on the field and destroy it. So there's potential with this in Sneak. And to the spells, we have Crossbreed, which is like the opposite of Tides of the Brethren, where you spam up more cards. This one you have to trade away 2 cards to add a card to your hand of a matching type and attribute, but with a different name. Seer's Passbook, a long-term +2. Already talked about this in the hype stuff, but it's here again because I forgot to remove it. But regardless, I still think this card has a lot of potential. And if you have Omega, and you get to see the cards that you're missing, so maybe you can grind up for a longer game. I think like stally decks are going to enjoy this particular card a lot. Then we have the Poison Sword of Solitude, or something along those lines. I think they changed the name of this, or Solitude Sword of Poison. Double the attack and defense during damage calculation. So it feels almost like Moonmirror Shield, except Moonmirror Shield to me is just a lot better. We have then 0 extra link. Think of it as United We Stand for link monsters. You can activate this card by targeting a link monster you control, co-linked to a link monster, and then it has to be co-linked to a monster in the extra monsters zone, and then it gains 800 attack for each link monster on the field. If a link monster is link summoned using the target monster as material, then you can transfer the attack over to that instead. However, if you do declare an attack with the targeted monster, you can destroy this card, so you don't get to keep it. So it's like a one-time boost, but if there's like that whole U board, yeah, that'd be kind of neat. If they open a zone for you and you just summon another dude, and then you just boost your guy by if it's U-Bar, there's 5, so you boost your guy by 4,000, you just really punch someone in the face. Now we have Mirror Force Launcher. I know it searches Mirror Force, but you can pop it when it's face up and there's like no repercussion. However, you pop this card when it's face down, on the other hand, you get to set this card and a Mirror Force from your graveyard, deck, or hand. So yeah, it's kind of neat. It almost feels like Awakening the Dragon for Mirror Force. Now for a card that I do care about, the Deep Grave. Target one monster in either player's graveyard. During your next standby phase, special summon it. Two things to note. So this is one of those cards that have hidden potential in my opinion, and I think you should probably run this if you're planning on playing in the Sneak Tournament. Target one monster in either player's graveyard during your next standby phase. So you can activate this card in the draw phase, and you get to special summon it like when you hit standby phase. So it's like a monster reborn, and since it hits both people's graveyard and the monster itself does not have any condition, it's like a slow monster reborn. There's some potential with this card, I think. I know it's very slow, and you can like have such a long opportunity to DD Crow that monster or call by the grave that monster. I get it. Now we have Ballista Squad. Squad, Notification Squad. Tribute one monster, then target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. I love this card because of Lair of Darkness. If you're playing Lair of Darkness, perhaps this is one of those cards that you probably want because it immediately counts for Lair Tribute, so you can kill off a monster and you can pop a back row or a front row threat. Yeah, that's pretty good news, and it doesn't make you destroy your own card either, so there's nothing really too bad about it. Then we have Shield Handler. When this card, I don't know, you get to protect one of your link monsters. You have to target 2 link monster, one on each side. You negate your opponent's monster's effect, and then you protect your own by card effects. That's about it. You equip it. Then we have Dealer's Choice. A really awkward card. This is a short print. Each player shuffles their deck and then they draw one card. Then each player discards one card. I guess you can use this with Dark World. You kind of use this with Danger. It's so slow though. It's very weird. I don't know, but you get to choose what you discard, so maybe there's that benefit too. And for the links, we have Reblodicus and the other guy, which seriously looks very stupid. But we have Reblodicus. He can change the type of all face-up monsters this card points to. He's the first dinosaur link monster, and he's also a generic monster that doesn't reduce your own attack, so there's that. He's just 2 monsters, so it's pretty easy to make him. As for the other I'm sorry, like for regular Drumgon, seriously, he looks like a dog with a cone on his head. Just, I can't take this guy seriously, and doesn't even have much attack. I guess you get to draw 1 card when you special summon him. Okay, since it does say special summoned, I like that effect. However, during the turn that this card effect was activated, new zones that this monster points to cannot be used. Okay, so it does like kind of limit your zones if you do summon out this card. It only has 1,000 attack, but it is a link 3, so it's more of a combo fodder than anything else. I'm sorry, look so stupid looking. I link summon with 3 of my dragons, and now he's being punished. Now he has the cone. He gets the cone treatment. Okay, for OCG imports, I'm not gonna waste your time on these guys. Beatstick, Wall, Beatstick. This guy can push your guys to 2k, so that might be relevant. Aside from that, he's got a burn effect. This guy only changes levels. This guy helps you search the Bellboy. That's all you really have to care about. Then we have Divine Serpent. Yeah, Divine Serpent. He is the big beater summoned out by having your cards being destroyed by battle or by card effect, and then you have to pay half your life point, and he just jumps out. Can't be targeted, which is neat. However, he doesn't exactly have any attack stat, and to modulate his own attack, if this card attacks your opponent's monster, that opponent's monster is negated. Also, the attack becomes half of the original, so he becomes a bit more manageable. But on top of that, you also have the once per battle effect. If this card battles during damage calculation in either player's turn, you can make this card's attack become the highest attacking monster's attack. So you get to choose if whatever. It's just a big beat stick. Just bear in mind that if there's only one monster on the field and you have to copy that attack, yeah, you only have the attack when you declare the attack, but you can gain the attack or become a different attack when you are battling. Yeah, that's it for this guy. What about that piece of sushi? We got the white stingray. This piece of sushi, it can be used as fodder. If you have another water monster, you can just ditch it and summon this card out, and you can summon it once per turn that way. It turns itself into a tuner if you special summon this card from grave. I think the Cyberse monsters are a bit more interesting. You got Link Disciple. You get to draw a card by tributing a monster that this card points to, and then you get to place one card in your hand to the bottom of the deck. So is that a minus? You have the Link monster, you special summon it, you tribute it to draw one, and then you put one card to the bottom. Yeah, it's a -1. It's maybe you want it, maybe you don't. Then we have the wall hand trap of the season. We have Interrupt Resistor hand trap. When you take battle damage, it jumps out and then changes its attack. So it's kind of like a little bit like Gores, like the token that is Gores. And then it's the Cayenne token. And then you can protect one of your monsters in defense position by changing their defense. And also that when your defense position monster gets attacked, for that battle, once per turn, it cannot be destroyed. So yeah, that's about it. But as for the key monsters I really care about, it is this Gladiator Beast, Wing Beast, badass. Even though it is a Link monster, I don't really care whether or not it's a fusion or a Link or whatever. It just requires 2 Gladiator Beast monster, and it summons out very much the same way. You kind of tag. I guess you send it to the graveyard this time. I guess Darius now gets a bit of more benefits. Okay, so rather than contact fusing, you get to just send them to the graveyard and link summon into it. If your Gladiator Beast monster attacks, it cannot be destroyed by battle. And also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated until the end of the damage of it. It makes it super safe to swing. There is no mirror force. There is no way of stopping you for getting those effects off until the end of the damage up. Of course, at the battle phase, your opponent then can activate stuff. But by then, you can trigger off most of your effects and your guys didn't die. So that to me is very beneficial. Of course, this guy also can tag back into 2 of your own Gladiator Beasts. So in terms of giving Gladiator Beasts a bit of flavor, I love this card a lot. Being a 2k beater, it's pretty safe to swing with him. And because you cannot be destroyed by battle when your guys attack, that's okay. Remember, it's only when you attack your guys cannot be destroyed by battle. If your opponent attacks you, you can still get killed. So it's not like a super defensive card. And yeah, just keep that in mind. It is a one-sided protection only on your own turn. But I still like it anyway because you can still tag out for 2 monsters. And Gladiator Beast was one of my favorite archetypes back in the day. So I'm glad they're getting a bit of love. So this is a quick capture of the sneak peek meta. Most of your attackers are not going to break the defense. Therefore, you're going to need the utility cards to kind of get over it. And once you get that opportunity to swing, you go for it and you break everything. And sword is one of your best friends. If you have multiple swords, you're gonna want this. You don't want to put too many monsters on board. You're gonna want this sword. And the Palladians, even though they're not exactly the strongest things, I'm considering them beat sticks because you can combine them into making some of these Link monsters that lead to becoming beat sticks. If you have Megaeus and a Regulex, you can pretty much push for maybe 16, maybe 22, maybe 26. You can actually just push it up there. So you've got the utility and you get that piercing too. So there's lots of fun there. Don't run too many of the frogs because the frog is not exactly a card that you want to put too many copies of on the field. It can put 1 copy, but be careful when you put 1 copy out because if your opponent also puts a copy of the frog and gives a copy to you, he might steal all your monsters. So it's got a severe drawback. Oblimerage has a high attack, 2800. The only thing it does not run over is that Nessie. But of course, not everyone's gonna pull like all the secrets and all the ultras. Therefore, consistency isn't exactly a thing to be worrying about. If you see someone with like a full-on deck, just count the amount of ultra rares and super rares they have in the deck. If they have too many, they're cheating and just get them DQ'd and just get them out of the way. Not another match to deal with. But these are the cards you have to care about. For popping, you've got Fiendish Illusion, you got Ballista Squad, you have Demise, you have Bigfoot. Bigfoot, of course, I'm not expecting everyone to have it, but maybe Mirage is, sorry, not Mirage, the Fiendish Illusion is the one card that you can expect to see. If your opponent puts out a boss monster, on the other hand, you have Get to take care of it. if there is demise on the field, if your opponent has the candle, the talisman, the demise, and the ritual spell, and if they're able to get all of that, and remember, that's just mainly just rares. If they get that far, that's one deck to be very scared of. But otherwise, Palladians are the ways to actually really push forward, because there's just a lot of utility. There's a ton of 2k walls. If you get multiple Fiend Prodigies, you shove them onto the deck, because if you can flip one of them or send one to the graveyard, you get to immediately tag another one out. So it's pretty speedy. But beware of decking out in case you get into a bit of a stalemate. So that's it all. That's all I got for this video. That's all of the sneak peek stuff, all of the entire set analyzed for you guys, down to some of these underrated cards. If you guys enjoyed this video and the entire segment, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hopefully get some live duels, more deck profiles coming up, and I guess I'm going to try to do some more fun stuff. I want to start my other channel as well. Just keep that in mind. Check out MST.TV and subscribe to that, and I will appreciate you guys for doing so, because I really want to kick that channel off. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. And thanks for watching, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.